Okay, my phone rings and it cut off the last video that I was shooting. So I'm sitting out in the car enjoying peace. I'm enjoying God's creation. The man that you see was laying on the beach, on the bench there asleep. He just got up. It it's easy to assume that he's homeless, but he's at peace. Okay, the topic of today. Okay, I just spoke with my partner at the clinic. Clinic is going well. I mean, it's going really well. I almost feel I don't have to worry about it. It's running smooth. She's got the workers there finishing up the 2 colonic rooms because we're adding 2 new colonic devices. So she just sent me a video. I mean, not a video, but some pictures showing me how it looks, and it looks great. So we'll be moving from 3 colonic tables to 5. I spoke with my instructor, who told me here in San Diego, in the city that she's in, there's a total of 8 to 10 colonic centers, which is very encouraging because in Cleveland, I believe there's in the neighborhood of 3, maybe 4. And Cleveland is a much bigger city, so there's a shortage. But San Diego is a different type of chemistry with people. They're more into colonics than we are up in Ohio. We hope to change that by bringing more awareness to the benefits of having colonics. And again, I encourage everybody who's looking at this video to go to our website, clevelandcolonic.com. Colonic is C-O-L-O-N-I-C, clevelandcolonic.com. If you're ever in the Cleveland area, visit our center, mention that you saw this video, and receive a free colonic. Today is November 5th. Everybody's on pins and needles about the election. They haven't made a decision yet. Pennsylvania is expecting to have a decision today from the latest news report. I don't know, maybe today I'll use this video, because one reason that I'm shooting videos is to archive my thoughts as of now. One day this video will be beneficial to my kids, my grandkids, after I'm gone. That's the beautiful thing about technology. I can store this, and my future generations can see where I'm at today, my thoughts and my perspective on life. And hopefully they can understand I can answer questions of issues that they will be facing as they continue to grow. One thing that the Bible teaches, nothing changed. It modernized it, but nothing changed. When the young generation say that you don't understand, I can look back and remember saying that to my parents. So I try to relate to the younger generation in a way that my parents could not relate to me. Instead of me trying to talk to my kids and grandkids from my age and my experience, which is unfair to them, because I used to tell my son when he was 20 and I was 40 that I will always have an advantage because I was once 20, he's never been 40. So that still goes. So I have my two youngest grandchildren that's 4 years old now, full of energy. And just thinking about them gives me joy. I remember when my oldest grandson was born, and there's a picture that I have, because what I thought prior to him being born that my legacy was bricks and mortar, that I was going to leave as a legacy, or going to leave something. And I realized at that very moment, in this particular snapshot, that the legacy is your children, your grandchildren. My goal is to do the sacrifice and not just live for myself, but try to live for them as well. Sometimes I think about moving, but when I think about my grandkids, I can't, because I feel that I would move, that would be selfish for me, but being in my grandchildren's lives is very important, because I have a different level of experience and wisdom that my son just don't have yet based on age. My son is very intelligent, but no matter what, he's not my age. So to be able to have the generations all together helps the future. I'm proud of the fact that through hard work, my children have options, and my grandchildren are going to have greater options. Like I said, I'm a businessman, so I put a lot of sacrifice and energy into business, a lot. Where in one aspect, I've lost a lot of valuable time where I didn't do the games and the different events with my sons when they were younger, but the time I spent was pretty much them in my world, building a business. Now there's an aspect that today I can look back and say I'm proud of that, because my oldest son is a part of the business. I'm still waiting on my youngest son to come aboard, and I'm confident that he will in his own time. My oldest son was basically born into the business. My youngest son, things were different, so he wouldn't get a traditional job, if I can word it that way. But just a matter of time, I know that, and I'm confident that he'll come and be a part of the business as well. But either way, he has a choice, and that means I've done my job. My grandkids, I'll bring them to the job site, and their playground will be playing with different construction machines. Uh, there's a video that I have posted where my grandson is literally walking through the new construction, swinging on the wood rafters, the wood beams that's throughout the house, having fun. So that's a memory that he would naturally grow up into the business, where his role would be a lot. He will actually enjoy it more than my son did, because the business is his playground, and because I'm older in a different position, I can have more fun. I can make it more fun for him. And to me, that's the growth. That's the generational growth, and that's important to me. I tell my son all the time, if I wasn't the greatest dad, that's fine. You just be better than me, because I know that I'm better than my father. So he just works on being better than me, and he is. He's a much better father to his sons than I am to him, or was to him. Now, I don't say that, again, I had to sacrifice. I sacrificed hard, and I believe that somebody has to make that sacrifice to build something. The foundation has to be built. Then the next generation has it a little bit easier, so on and so forth. So I sacrificed. Am I enjoy the journey along the way? Yes. But I work hard, and the vision is not just the vision for myself, but it's the vision for my generation behind me. My goal now, I want to get my grandchildren into the number 1 and number 2 school system. I want them to have the best education that I can help provide for them. So that keeps me working, because I have to figure that out. I have to produce. I have to work hard. I have to be able to help my son and the mother of his children to be in a position so they don't have to struggle like I had to struggle, or my ex-wives had to struggle. Help them be in a position where my grandchildren can have a little bit better. Each generation gets better. So for me, the sacrifice isn't over. Too often we look for our own self-gratification without a sacrifice, without thinking about the generations to come. I don't want to just send my children to college or to a trade school or or a job. I'm trying to instill a sense of freedom in this country. Freedom, we're in the United States. Freedom costs. It's not free. Freedom is not free. The United States is a capitalist society. Money does matter. I don't care. I laugh all the time. The people who always say, well, I don't live for money. Well, those are the people that usually never have any. Get rich and tell me that. Tell me how important money isn't. Money is a tool. Money, there's a lot of power in money if you use it properly, if you don't just use it for self. Money is power. In the United States, well, any other country, money is power. The key is what you do with the money. You take it, you educate, you put the money into your family, helping them get to the next level. Take care of your family, and then you reach out to your surrounding family, your friends, and then eventually, as far as you can go, then you start touching the community. Money and quality time, education. I'm not talking about school education, that's part of it, but I'm talking about something like this video, just sharing thoughts, how to improve, changing priorities, because one thing about the United States, it teaches you to make money so you can spend more on things that don't produce money. Same with credit. Maybe I'll do a video talking about credit. Credit can make you wealthy. Unfortunately, we've been trained to use credit to buy things that we cannot afford and put it on a monthly bill. That's why you see so many TV commercials advertising credit repair and how to resolve your credit card debt, because back in the day, before credit existed, there was a layaway plan. That means you sacrificed, you paid your layaway bill, and you owned that product. Well, when you really look at the bigger picture, that's when you got to elevate your mind and your thinking. The bigger picture, the stores say, well, look, I got 1,000 TVs sitting in my warehouse, and people are not buying them because they're putting them on a layaway plan. So let me figure out a way to get that TV in your house, and I'll charge you. I'm going to sell you. Here's the genius of the system, the businessman. Let me give you a lower quality TV and mass produce it, but I have to get it into your house. So you want this TV so bad that you're going to buy this TV that doesn't even carry the same quality as it did years ago, and I'm going to sell it to you at a premium price. Then I'm going to let you finance it, and I'm going to charge you more money on finance charges to have this TV. The TV won't even last as long as it takes you to pay it off. TV lasts 5 years, you're still paying on it 7 years later. Then you give up, credit go bad because now you got a negative credit mark, then you got to go through credit repair, and this same cycle continues over and over again.
That's how it rolls.
Instead of using credit to buy things that's going to produce money. When I go to one of my lenders, people used to tell me a long time ago, because I use a lot of hard money to buy my properties. They'll ask me, why would you be paying, back then it was 16%. He said, why would you be paying 16% on money? Well, first, I couldn't get money from anywhere else because, as you know, it's harder for us as African Americans to get bank loans. So you enter, the 16% is your entry. But I would say then, I don't care if the money costs me 100% as long as I can make 200%. So that's my responsibility to figure out how to make this money produce enough to pay the money, the fees for what I borrow, and make me a profit. Because you don't want to be spinning your wheels, become a slave. So that's when you got to start using your mind and play. This is when you start moving from hustle to business. I tell people all the time, the difference between hustle and business. Hustle is you're just out there turning money. Business is it's hustle with science. That means you're starting to learn about return on investment, starting to learn about timing. You are calculating to find out what is the best rate of return, subtracted the cost of your money, the time factors, the whole 9 yards. You're putting science to your hustle. That's business. Money costs. There's a time chart, especially borrow money. Even if it's not borrowed, money is like water. It will evaporate. Money must keep moving. You have to learn how to make money move, make money dance. When you hear the world and they tell you the dollar is not worth the actual dollar, understand why. Because we borrow, and if we borrow money from China, for simplicity, China's charges us 10%. Well, that means that dollar is only worth 90 cents now, because 10% got to go, the other 10% goes to China. Okay, so that's why the dollar don't carry a value. So you're already coming into the negative. So as a business person, you know, for simplicity, if that dollar is not only worth 90%, how do I turn that 90% into $1.20? That's the key. Now you've paid the 10%, let's say to China, 10% your natural expenses, and then the 10% is your profit. And that can become a standard of living. But if you're really smart, you're going to take your 10% profit and put it back out there on the line. So now your 10% is making 1%. I'm calculating based on a 10% return. And you keep building from there. You keep building. You're putting your money back out there working. Now, again, in my earlier video, I talked about self-employed versus entrepreneurship. This is an entrepreneurial video right now. I'm talking entrepreneurship, because you only can produce so much yourself. If there's a 24-hour day, the best you're going to put in is 18 hours. You got to sleep. So you're only going to maximize, you're only physically, mentally able to maximize a certain level. Our colonic center, with 3 rooms, the maximum I can do from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. is 27 clients a day. That's it. 27. Now, how do you expand beyond 27? Like we did, we added 2 more rooms. You get your numbers up. Now, once you max that out, then you start looking at the second location. You personally make a determination how far you want to grow. And now that's a personal thing. There's no right or wrong to that. You decide. The sacrifice come in is what the challenge is, what you are willing to sacrifice for what you say your true goal is. Or do you get caught into the trappings, which stunts your growth? Because it's very hard. I want it now. I want to enjoy life now. Like I said in the earlier video, that's when a lot of the decisions I make that I call stupid decisions, where those decisions are stupid because I've just made a decision that stunts my growth. Instead of continuing the growth, I just put an expense on myself that slows the natural growth. That's just being honest. And the first thing you got to do is be honest with yourself. I said in the earlier video, I bought a car. Beautiful car. High-end car. It was not a logical decision. It was a want decision. It was a stupid decision. I can justify that decision, says, well, I'm going to work harder to pay for this stupid decision. That's a justification, but it's not logical. The fact of the matter is my wants overseeded my needs for what I say that I really want. I slowed my growth down by that monthly payment. Now, you do want to enjoy, because again, now, to put that money into a car versus putting that money into my grandchildren's future is self-explanatory. It shows you that my decision was not logical. It was a self-decision. It was what I wanted. Now, there's a balance. You have to sometimes find a reason to find an inspiration yourself to push further. Sometimes you might need that. You should not have to, but hey, you know what? I have to figure that out. I haven't figured that part out yet. I'm sitting here today and I'm enjoying this view. And because I got outside of my box, meaning my surroundings, it refreshes my mind. It makes me dream. I'm sitting here now thinking about San Diego and getting a place in San Diego, because to have a place that I can come to now, I don't want to just vacation in San Diego. That means if I want to be able to have a headquarters here, not a headquarters, because my headquarters is in Cleveland. If I wanted to be able to have a place here that I can come to, that means that becomes an expense. So my mind is, okay, let me figure out how I'm going to make me some money here. So if I do have a place here, the business pays for it. Now that's what I try to do. I want my assets to pay for my stupidity. So that's how I can be okay with justifying it, with knowing that no matter what, I'm still stopping my growth. But I'm not a robot. So I remember a buddy of mine's, and I talk about him a lot because this brother literally could not read. He would be at his job. He was a builder, doing new construction, beautiful homes he would put together. He inspired me because he couldn't read. And in my area, there were only two brothers that I knew that was doing new construction. Like I said, new construction is graduation from rehab. It's another level. And he could not read, but he would put a house together and he would be at his job site at 5:36 in the morning every morning. Now, one thing I believe I'm true to myself. My time is 8 o'clock. Then it was 8 o'clock. And I would say, well, he's going to be 5:30 rich. I'll be 8 o'clock rich. I'm not going to be jealous and envy because he puts it in. He's up 3 hours before I'm up. He's supposed to be doing better than me. He's putting in the work. This brother couldn't read and had an energy drink that he had started, got it on the grocery store shelves, doing new construction. He was a genius. I learned from him. You learn from people. When I was a kid, I worked for the Arabs. People would make an excuse for the lack of their ability to be ambitious, or they're just lazy. They say, well, these Arabs came over for all this money. That's not true. The Arabs came that I know, and I worked with them. They came over here broke. The owner would bring a few Arabs over here and get them started. These Arabs would live 8 to 10 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. They would get a can of, we all worked in the grocery store. They would get a can of spinach, some boiled eggs, a can of meat, lemon, make a skillet, and they would all sit there and eat together, lunch. We were taking our money going to the fast food restaurants. You would not see the Arab buying Nike shoes, jewelry, fancy cars. They were saving their money. I watched this one Arab, and this is a very true story. Couldn't speak English, and it was 3 of us standing together, and the one brother, older than me, said to the Arab, back then, let me back up a little bit. Back then, when the Arabs owned the grocery store, it was a transition. The black man owned the store and he sold it to the Arabs. That's another story in itself. I understood why. Everybody was upset with the black man for selling the grocery store to the Arabs. But see, I understood why, because there was nobody to take it over. That's why I try to teach my kids, my grandkids. A lot of the black employees wasn't helping him. They were just taking advantage. It was the best job I ever had in my life. It was fun. It was the most funnest job I ever had in my life. I even learned from that because I try to make my work environment fun. But there's a thin line, because everybody was having fun and they drained the business. There was nobody really trying to help him take his business to the next level. So anyway, he sold it to the Arabs. The man did me a favor, because when I first dropped out of high school and went to work for him, I was making $2.10 an hour. And that's a story, and I'll say it briefly. I wanted this job so bad. It was a fun job. He wouldn't hire me at first. I would go there every single day. And every day he'll tell me he's not hiring. But that one particular day, a couple of guys didn't show up to work to unload a truck. And he needed that truck unloaded. And on that day, he hired me. And I worked there for 10 years. That was the beginning. And I learned. So eventually, when he sold the store, he did good by me. He put me in the union And I went from $2.10 an hour to $8.05 an hour overnight. Well, anyway, getting back to the story. So the Arabs that came over here making less than $2 an hour, the one brother was always egging on the Arab, antagonizing, saying, I wouldn't work that hard for nobody. You're not making no money. You should try to get in the union. Really just, and the Arabs was totally against the union because it's going to cost them more money to pay union wages. The brother said something that I never forgot. So he told, the three of us were standing there, and he told this Arab, I wouldn't work that hard for nobody. The moral of that story was, that Arab ended up owning 5 drive-through beverage stores. I ended up owning my own store. And the guy that was doing all this egging this Arab on never owned anything. And what I got out of that is when he said I wouldn't work that hard for nobody, he included himself. Because you're not working hard for nobody, you're working hard for yourself. That was unforgettable for me. I might have been in my 20s, early 20s. Never forgot that. The Arabs came over here and they worked hard. We see it all the time. Whatever community, whether it's the Koreans or the Arabs or Chinese, whoever you want to call it. Only time you see them in the mall is if they own the store. You don't see them with Nikes on, jewelry on. You don't see them that way. They're taking their money. They will buy them a nice home. They're going to educate their children. We, as Black Americans, don't do these things. I told my son growing up, stop trying to wear Nike, be Nike. Don't follow the crowd. Be the crowd where people follow you. Be a trendsetter, not a follower. We make money. A lot of foreigners come over here, and think about it. They start in the inner city. The reason being because Black people have what I call disposable income. We spend everything we make on things that do not produce. That's why a lot of businesses target the Black community. We have disposable income. Liquor stores on every corner. Auto parts stores on every corner. And then what's not in our neighborhood corners, we will travel out to the malls to give our money to Mr. Nike or Mr. Fubu or whatever the newest fashion is. We clean. Even you can go to job sites and a lot of the sisters will be at their job clean as they want to be. All the fancy purses, the whole 9 yards, laughing at the white girl because she's looking homely and eating a brown paper bag for lunch. But then 5 years later, she just bought her $200,000-$300,000 home, and the sister's still sitting there with a raggedy home and no money because she sacrificed and saved her money. She wasn't getting caught up into the material trappings. The happiest people there is rich people and poor people. I remember when I was a kid, I used to hate this one song, say, "Don't worry, be happy." I hated that song because we as Black people, we need to start worrying and be less happy. Let's get on this sacrifice. Let's get on this grind. Let's get us to another level. We have enough Black wealth that our cities don't have to be the way they are. But we worry about self. It's all about self. I'm generalizing. We don't leave nothing behind. We don't leave money behind. We don't leave education behind. Part of this video is me leaving education behind. It's all about self. And then we leave it up to our children to figure it out on their own. I got mine, you get yours. So then they have to go through the same struggles. By the time they get wise enough to make a change, now their children are old. We don't know how to mold them from young. teaching them the power of money, teaching them the power of how to pay bills, how to save. And in today's, it's worse because when I was growing up, the children was able to be more creative because they did things outside. Nowadays, all the kids sitting inside the house playing a video game. That stunts creativity. Everybody's not going to be a computer programmer. Everybody's not going to be a designer of video games. It's one thing with my younger son, that's a struggle because he grew up in that generation. This is about video games. We have to change our thinking. Let me say this. This is what I feel I have to do. I have to put in the sacrifice. I want my grandchildren to be on another level. They're not going to just get there. We get angry because our children don't get the jobs we want. How do we get mad because Mr. Charlie hires his nephew and because he took care of his family, and you want to be mad at him because we didn't take the responsibility to take care of our children? Now you want to sue him and make it his responsibility. You want to tell your children go to college. Who are you telling them to go to work for? Go get a degree to go work for who? How about changing it up? How about be willing to sacrifice, build something, send your children to college so they can come back and work for the family business. Take it to the next level. Become the next BET. Become the next Nike. I tell people all the time, so don't think slavery's still here. It's modernized. It's modernized too. Everything else modernized is modernized. It's not necessarily black and white anymore. It's rich and poor. Because most of us, we don't want to sacrifice to get our generation to the next level. Now, here's the negative part. For me, it's lonely, but it's a choice because of what I believe and what I'm talking it talks against my peer group, my surroundings. It's against everything that the world that I grew up in. So it's hard to find on this level people that have that same passion and vision. It's like I'm speaking Chinese. I'm a hopeful person, so I believe in hope. And I believe in change. And I see the evidence of it. My oldest son, I can see it. I tell him all the time, my son is a chef, and he's very good. I used to push him hard to get into real estate. And what I was actually doing is pushing him away from it. Now I don't. Here's the beautiful thing. He has a choice. He can come and work for real estate. And I tell him, okay, use the real estate because you have something to use as a launching pad. I didn't have that. So if you want to get your restaurant, fine. Use the real estate to build whatever it is you want. Now, the beautiful part about it, he comes to work now. And every day he works, he gets better and better in real estate. His children is getting a taste of real estate. He has something to fall back on. I don't worry about my son because no matter what, the sacrifice that I put in, instead of him going to play soccer and all that type of stuff, no, we coming to work. My son was with me in every single business. He grew up with me. My very first store, he was there. So he grew up in the business. So is my youngest son. So he has something to fall back on. He's at a level with real estate now, he can pretty much handle. I don't have to micromanage. I don't have to. He did a ceramic in a kitchen. Beautiful. Beautiful. And when I tell you beautiful, beautiful. He basically designed that kitchen. Now, him and I get along a lot better now because I changed. Instead of me pushing him to change, I had to make the change. And I deal with him differently now. Call it wisdom. I make it clear, no, whatever you want to do is fine. You're free. This is what we have here. Use it to do whatever you want to do. I've done my job. I created a choice for my kids. That's it. I created a choice. Now I'm hoping that he will continue it and do the same thing. His children got a choice now. Now, my son continues to grow and become better than what? Better than me. That means his children is going to learn on a higher level. I started out using a hammer. He's using a jackhammer. His children use the next advanced tool. But somebody had to make that sacrifice. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My father ran from that. My father was too busy wanting a job for the system. He did well. My father's ambitious. My ambition comes from my grandfather and my father. But he didn't have the vision for future generations. My grandfather did. We have a massive farm in Alabama. My uncles run it. Now, again, and this is part of our growth from where we came from as Black Americans. We were so happy to push college. We didn't think. We're preaching, go to college, go to college. It was never to go to college for what? It was never a vision to go to college to bring the knowledge back home. They wouldn't even realize they're pushed the kids to go to college to go work for somebody else. I'm not doing that. Now, here's your responsibility. That means this is where I have to work harder because I want each child, each grandchild they're their own individual. Let me create something in the business that will attract their passion, who they are. My granddaughter the other day says, I don't want to do the books. I don't like doing books. Okay, fine, I'm not going to push you. I gave her general knowledge. How does she know she don't like the books? Because she's done the books.